is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah, You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is David Grigas, and you are welcome here. This is, yes. So I'm very happy to be here with you this morning. It's a very deep belief of mine that we heal in community, and we come together. We can do our own work on our own and different modalities, but I think it's really important to gather together here, and I just want to welcome everyone that's here with us right now and anyone who may be watching online. And to move into this time together, you are welcome here. Oh, here we go. Which button? The forward button? Looks pretty good. All right, I love that. So, what are we here for? Good question, right? Why am I here? Why are we here? The eternal question, right? So, the vision here at Center for Spiritual Living is that we are a model center for spiritual living as evidenced by the transformational impact we have on our spiritual community, the CSL organization, and the community at large. Sounds good to me? Everybody like that? I like that. And those are really cool graphics. Our mission to empower individuals to awaken to the power and the presence that lies within and all around them so they may live their best lives. That sounds really good to me too. and our values. Now, I'll say the value, and then you can affirm it back to me. Community values. Spiritual growth and practice. Love. Appreciation. Community. Freedom. Creativity. Health and wholeness. Generosity. Financial well-being. That's right. We like that. All right. Traveling light. The homecoming. Okay, excellent. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We have new faces and familiar faces. That's great. I'm going to give you guys some things to think about before Cindy does her talk. And Cindy's talks are more discussions than they are talks. Can we agree to that? All right, so here are some thoughts. Cindy's talks are organic. They flow from day to day, week to week. She'll do a program, a slideshow, and she'll run it by me, and we'll look at it. Maybe 5 days ago. And then life happens. She'll go experience something, and then she'll rewrite it and go a different direction. And usually on Saturdays, I try to keep her away from anything real big so that she doesn't get any late-night inspirations to have to redo. But it still happens. And sure enough, we went to Galen's book signing last night, and there was inspiration there. One of the things I want you to think about today before she does the talk is core beliefs and core memories. You talked about the movie Inside Out. And there are things from your childhood that are ingrained that we have to undo, and hopefully you've undone some of them. And I'm going to give you an example of one of mine, and then maybe it'll trigger you to remember something from your childhood to help with the discussion later. And we came up with this at 1:30 in the morning last night. And,
it's got to be good.
It's got to be good. And that was me. I was inspired by David's testimonial last night, and I ran it by Cindy, and we had to make some more changes. Well, from the book of Grady, if you're going to stir the shit pot, you got to lick the spoon. So I stayed up with her and with the rewrite. So that's probably inappropriate, but that's me. All right, so as a 5-year-old child in kindergarten, I had the thought, I'm not smart. I'm not smart enough. I'm stupid. And my evidence, and 5-year-olds don't need much evidence. My evidence was a clown. It was a paper, and they had 3 clowns on the paper. One of them was different. One of them didn't have a collar. The clown suit, the shoes, the collar, the hat. And we were, as kindergartners, supposed to figure out which one was different. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't see the difference. And I got a big red X on my paper, and it was deprived of Kool-Aid and cookies. And I don't remember my kindergarten teacher, but I remember that paper. I remember that red X, and I remember sitting in my mom's car. I remember what I was wearing that day in kindergarten 55 years ago. I remember the hat that I had on, that I sat down so my mom couldn't see my face, with that paper with a big red X on it. And I'm not telling you this to feel sorry for me. I want you to think of, everyone here has to have something from their 5-year-old self that they remember as being traumatic like that. Now, was it true? No. I was smart. I could tell you a batting average of Rod Carew by doing the math. If he had 150 hits and he went to the plate and hit 450 attempts, I could tell you the percent of time that he got a hit. I was smart with sports. So it wasn't true, but as a 5-year-old, you don't need evidence. And as it later turned out, I really wasn't dumb. I was just lazy. I didn't like school. I didn't want to do the homework. So I figured out I am smart, but I'm lazy, and that's okay. So think about those things in your own life, and it will make sense as we go forward. All right. So today's reading comes from the book Psychedelics, Dreams, and Rituals, written by Galen Grigas. On sale at Amazon, Google, signed autograph copies. So I joke, but there is wisdom here. So, yes, yeah. So there is self-induced trauma that was self-induced, and there are things that people do to you that is trauma, but you're more than that. And in Galen's book, just 2 quick sentences. Trauma is a part of so many of our lives today. You may have experienced trauma, but it does not have to define your life. Trauma is a part, but not a whole of our existence. Trauma is an event that scares us and scars us, however we can heal. And in today's talk, you'll hear Cindy weave that around and explain that. So enjoy the show, and I'll pass on to whoever's next.
If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where true believers dare to tread and never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I what we secretly dream? What would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of a seed, are there miracles in you and me? You know there are. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where true believers dare to tread and never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I I
So this is our time for our invocation, and our bravery and our courage comes from within each and every one of us. And so as we join together, we return to that land of the soul that's in each and every one of us. So I'm going to ask you, if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. Let's just take a nice deep breath and let it go. And once again, nice deep breath and let it go. And we return to the land of the soul that is within each and every one of us, where our faith and our courage and our hope is strong. That part of us that is untouched and untarnished by the worries and cares of the world, that knows at our deepest level we are a spark of divinity. And anything that we want to do, when we touch into that knowing of our own divine self, our own divinity, we can do it. We can heal, we can soar, we can learn new things. We can transform ourselves from the inside out, for that's where it all comes from. We return to the land of the soul, returning to ourselves, returning to our home base, which is within us. And we share it between us. The kingdom of heaven is within. And so we touch into that knowing. We return home to ourselves, to our authentic selves, to our true power and the presence of God within, of Spirit, of Holy Spirit. And we relax. We relax into that knowing that whatever we need to hear today, whatever sparks that return for us, returning home to our true self, our authentic self, on the journey of our life, it is here in this now moment. And so we show up. Be here now. For now is all that we have, and all that we are, and all is within us now. Right now. And maybe in some way we just tap into that a little bit, like a thread, a golden thread, and it pulls us through into our life, into our relationships, into our health, into our well-being, into our creating and recreating ourselves. And we give thanks for this now. We just sense that gratitude as we touch into that. And we just say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And we return with that sense of gratitude, touching into that home base within us. And we take a breath. And so it is.
Anybody feel like they've been to church already today? The Spirit's flowing in this space, isn't it? Well, welcome, 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 everyone. It's so wonderful to be up here. The last time I was up here in this capacity was for my ordination, and so many of you are here. I'm just still processing it. I'm still processing. It was just a Such a beautiful experience. It was overwhelming in a lot of ways. You know, I think one of the first things I mentioned was that I'm really not an extrovert, though I speak for a living. I'm kind of in the middle there, and the reason I can do what I do is because of what I'm teaching, you know, because it's not about me, it's about the stuff. And the ordination was very much about me, so it was challenging, but it grew me. And I feel like I'm stepping into something new, so thank you all for facilitating that for me. And thank you, everybody, already this morning. My hilarious husband, my dear friends, everybody that's here. Thank you so much. It just feels, oh, I love you too. Oh my gosh, this is just the perfect setup for this talk today. It's just, and as Grady said, I had the whole thing laid out. I knew what I was going to talk about, and then something else dropped in, and I was like, oh gosh. I was so busy yesterday, so it was 1:30 by the time we were done. But we'll see if it resonates. Hopefully it resonates for you. So welcome to all our newcomers. Every week here is a little different, that this is the more traditional kind of a Sunday. So our theme for the year is this idea of traveling light. And what I mean with that is all of its meanings. That we travel as lightly as possible, like feeling unburdened. Would that be helpful to anybody, not be carrying a whole lot of baggage? Anybody else carry some baggage? Yeah, okay. So to lighten up, right, and be able to let go of that stuff, but also to be the light. I think that we all have that light, certainly, as Galen said, that divinity within us. And if we can show up and be that in the world, how different of a place would it be if we all consciously took responsibility for that and being the light in the lives of others? Right? How different the world would be. But we start here, right? We start here. We start with ourselves where we can. And so that's what our inquiry has been for the whole year. And traveling light within the context of the hero's journey. Now everybody knows that reference. By now, if you've been coming here, you've heard it, I don't even know how many times. But the hero's journey is a journey that starts at home, and it's a metaphor for all of our lives. And it could be the one big journey of your life, or your afternoon could be a journey. Anyone have days like that? Right? So it's any time, right? The journey, but can be at any point in your life or encompass, you know, a moment or years or whatever. So it follows a certain arc. And we started with this idea of the hero starts at home. Every hero's story, all of our stories started in a place called home. And we get our gifts and we get our talents, and we're born into this world with certain things, and then we're kind of molded and shaped in that home, and then something happens to push us out the door. Either push us or pull us, right? We're pulled by vision or we're pushed by pain. Whatever it is, we start that adventure called life. And life knocks you around a little bit, and you meet some friends and things happen, but you got this toolkit that you might not even know about. You have your inner GPS system, which is the emotional self that tells you, yes, I'm moving in the direction I need to, or no, I'm not. Then we have all the boundaries, those things that kind of keep us on the road, you know, so we don't fall over the edge. We have our values and our boundaries. We talked about those things. We talked about being out on the adventure. We talked about the big showdown, right? The thing that happens that breaks you and makes you at the same time. And the compassion that it takes, that's like that magic elixir. You know, every story has that thing. You know, Dorothy had her magic slippers. There's the Holy Grail. Those things that have you come into your own. Well, that's the compassion. That's the compassion we have for ourselves and others, is that magical elixir. So we've gone through all of that stuff, right? The separation, the departure, the initiation and the transformation. You've got the road of trials, your allies and helpers, all that stuff. And we talked, I think Donna spoke last month, about the people that we meet along the way. It was a little out of order, but it was the perfect talk for what was happening in October. And just how important it is that we have those people along the way. Both the challengers, right, and also those safe people that give us the place to heal and that safe place to land. And then now we're on to the next part of the journey, the final lap, which is the homecoming. So the hero comes into their own, into that big story. They have their showdown and they show up and they know who they are. But they don't just hold it for themselves, right? They become who they are. They come into their own so that they can give to other people, right? So that the journey is shared. They're not the hero for themselves. They're the hero for whoever's in their world, where they can be. They can be. Again, there's no have-tos with any of this, right? We get to. We get to. And the end game, I think, is this idea of agape love. Taking a stand for love, peace, and being a beneficial presence on the planet. Right? That's the end game. That's the end game that I'm up for. Anybody else? Yes. Okay, great. Otherwise, what's the point, right? So then we have this idea, this thing of enlightenment, of what is that? Is it becoming somebody different? It's what? No. It's unleashing what's already inside of us. You know, and I was looking for a quote that's attributed, I think, to Michelangelo regarding the David, right? That he didn't create the David, he just chipped away what was not. So as I was looking for that quote, I found this one, and then I found this image, right? You see what he's doing? It's the man who's breaking himself free, right? He's chipping away at all of the stuff that's not him, right? That's what that image is. And so this quote came from the Methodist Quarterly Review in 1858. 1858. I'd never heard it before. It is the sculptor's power of finding the perfect form and features of a goddess in the shapeless block of marble, and the ability to chip off all extraneous matter. And here's the part, right? Letting the divine excellence stand forth for itself. Right? Like we're all that block of marble, and there's this divine excellence inside each one of us. Thus, in every incident of business and every accident of life, the poet sees something divine and carefully scales off all that encumbers that divinity, permitting it to be revealed in all its transcendent loveliness. Isn't that a wonderful image? What is the transcendent loveliness that's inside of you? Right? That's been wanting expression, that's been being expressed, but maybe, you know, a little lighter, a little brighter. Anybody use that? So what is it? What is the stuff that we're chipping away? What's that stuff that has come on us? Because if we come into this world as perfect, whole, complete, and think about a baby. Anybody have babies in their lives? Right? Do you ever look at that baby and say, oh, you sinner, miserable sinner? It's laughable. It is laughable. But this idea of the original sin, whether you were raised in a traditional Christian home or a Catholic home, or it's in our culture, it's kind of in everything. And what is that idea of the original sin? Y'all know that? That we're born. Yes, we're born somehow imperfect. That this creator, now you got to wrap your brain around this. That's it, the Book of Grady. It makes sense if you don't think about it. that this divine perfection, this God that is all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere present, would make you on purpose broken so that you could then be fixed by some other force. I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense. But that's the idea of original sin. But here's the thing that you may or may not know. If you've been in metaphysical teachings, you may have heard this before. But the word sin, how we use it in the English language, is not how it was originally meant. It came from the Greek word S-Y-N, which meant missing the mark of perfection. In other words, you miserable mistake maker, you. Miserable sinners or miserable mistake makers. It means to miss the mark, to fail in your purpose, to err, to be mistaken, to fail in having whatever it is that you came to have and to do and to be, right? So that's the thing, the sin. And is that a universal? Do we come into this world? Do we make mistakes? Yeah, we make mistakes. And probably, I'm going to start with a few big ones. The mistaken belief that there is something wrong with me. Anybody else have that? Can anybody else relate to Grady's story of being the 5-year-old? All right, I've been doing this work for many, many, many years. It's some form or fashion. And I can tell you there is not an individual who has not swallowed some form of that poison. somewhere along the line. And I think it's pretty close to universal. If not, I know maybe some people escape that. I don't know how, but like there's the thing that happens. And some of you might remember a teaching called EST, or for me it was landmark education. There were a lot of different forms of it. And one of the things that they not taught but had you think about was, when was that point in your life where you felt like suddenly I'm not good enough, I'm not perfect? You know, like for me, it was down to two events. They happened in pretty close succession. And I was probably 4 or 5, you know, like Grady was saying. And it was the Little Miss America pageant in Palisades Park, New Jersey. And I got my little outfit, and I practiced my song, and I did all of that, and I didn't even make any kind of cut. And it was like, oh, I guess I'm not pretty enough. I'm not good enough, or I'm not talented enough. They didn't want to hear me. Could have been that one, or it could have been the morning that my aunt took my 2 older cousins out for pancakes and left me home. And I made up in my head it was because I wasn't good enough, right? I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't enough of whatever it was that they had, because they were older and they were beautiful and they had long straight hair and they were thin, right? That was the story. Now we all have those stories. I want you to think about that as Grady invited you. Think about the first time you thought I wasn't good enough, and maybe it was something silly. You know, but for you in that little 5-year-old body, that little person, it wasn't silly. It was the truth. And then everything else that came after that just reinforced it. Right? There was a woman in one of those landmark workshops that was she was a supermodel. Deep down inside, she thought she was ugly because kids made fun of her because she was too thin. You know, and then the doctor who thought he was clumsy, here's a surgeon, right? Feeling like he's some kind of an imposter, like y'all don't really know, you know, because when he was a kid, he put a pot on his head and it got stuck. And so he was clumsy. I mean, you know, these are the things. It sounds crazy and silly when you hear somebody else's, but when it's yours, it's like, wow, I didn't know. That hurts so deep. So think about something wrong with me. And those, anybody else, I'm not fill in the blank enough? What could we put in there? Yell some out. Smart enough. Pretty. Good. Talented. Right? Tall. Rich. Right? Let's go. I mean, we can just keep going on, right? So I'm not enough of this. Or the other one, which is the same idea, right? Just the flip side. I am too, what? I'm too much. I'm too much. I'm too old. I'm too sensitive, right? I'm too wimpy. I mean, just go on and on and on. Oh, and this. Anybody else feel like, and this is what it comes down to, right? I'm not enough, whatever, so therefore I'm not lovable. Anybody else feel like that? Right? Or the abandonment. Maybe so-and-so left, or this person died, or my parents divorced because I wasn't enough. Right? Because I wasn't lovable enough. They didn't stay together. You know, these are, again, stories, right? Because reminding you, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Right? The truth of who we are. I mean, the truth is we are human beings as well. But there's a truth that we are bigger than our humanity, than that part of us, right? That power, presence that brought us into being is the divine spark of who we are. And that's what we fall back on when the humanness is painful, is so painful. We can fall back on that. So these are, again, ways that we miss the mark, right? Mistakes that we have made because we have believed these things, not because they're true. How about I don't belong? That's another one. Now that one happens around middle school. Right? Or earlier. I think for me it was missing the pancake breakfast. I didn't belong. But of course when you're looking at boys, or you're looking at the girls and they're not so interested, or you make up all kinds of stuff, I don't belong. I'm not good enough. I used to kind of tease a little bit and say that our center was like the place of the misfit toys. Because so many of us feel like that. Anybody else feel like they were the misfit? Like, I didn't look like other people. I didn't think like other people. But when you look around the room, Who didn't feel like that? It's just we don't talk about these things. You don't find out what's in those deep, dark recesses until you do work like what I do or Galen does, and you find out. This is what's driving folks. This is the pain of the human experience that is driving so much of the hurt and the discord in our world. Feeling like I don't belong. How can you not belong? You didn't even bring yourself here, right? That power and presence, that God thing brought you here. And when it's time for you to leave, it's going to take you out, right? It's truth for all of us. And then this one happens for some folks too, is this thing like I'm all alone, right? I have reached out, I have looked for people, I have hoped for people, I have prayed, I have waited, and still, you know, my Savior has not appeared. My knight in shining armor, my whatever, and I'm going to always be alone. Again, the story. It's the story, it's not the truth. It's the story. And we're all living our own story. We're all living our drama. Was the Talladega Nights movie? Anybody have seen that crazy movie? So, very spiritual movie with, what's his name? Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell. It's a crazy, crazy comedy. So Ricky Bobby is a race car driver. Yes, and he is raised with this idea, right, because his dad was into racing. If you're not first, you're last. And that is what he believed, and that is what pushed him to the top. That's what helped him succeed. And then there's a point where, you know, he's sitting with dad, right, and he's sharing that he lived by that. You know, if you're not first, you're last. And dad says, well, hell, Ricky, I was high when I said that. You could be first, you could be last, you could be second, you could be whatever you want. He's like, what? I lived my whole life around that. He goes, I was high. We all have a story, right? And therefore we live in this hell, right? Because we're believing the story. You're not in hell because you were born bad, because you were born broken, because you weren't good enough. You're in hell now because you believe it. Not because it's the truth, right? It's that it's that feeling of needing to cover it up, or I have to hide it. You know, people are going to find out I'm not perfect. People are going to find out I'm, 30 pounds overweight. Not like they can't see it, right? You know, we're all hiding these things, feeling this imposter syndrome. But I had to share this little meme with you because I just think it's so hilarious. Where does this come from again, this idea of original sin and, God holding this thing over you? And so what he's saying here, we've got Jesus knocking on the door, and he says, let me in, let me in. The person behind the door is saying, why? And he says, so I can save you. And the person says, from what? Well, from what I'm going to do to you if you don't let me in. It just tickles me. So religion, therefore, is for people who are afraid of going to hell. And spirituality is for people who've already been there. How many people have lived there? Right? We know that place. Time to let go of the story. It's just time to let go of the story. It is. All of it's happening in your head. Not to say that there aren't horrible things that happen to people. Right? There are things that have happened to every one of us. I have shared before about adverse childhood experiences. Y'all know that term? Right? So for anybody who has not heard of that, it's a scale, and you get a point for each one of these things that you might have experienced as a child. So the highest score you can get is a 10, and you don't want to have 10. That is a world of hurt, But it's a point if you were physically abused. Right, whether it was you got a couple that you really remember very well, or you were beat every day of your life. It's a point. If you were emotionally abused, it's a point. If you were sexually abused, it's a point. If your parents divorced, it's a point. If there was neglect, if there was substance abuse in your home, if someone was incarcerated, did I miss any? I don't remember. Yeah, if you get them all again. Now, they've taken those events, witnessing that, yes, domestic violence, if 100%, 100%. So then they have taken these things that you can go through and correlated those with all kinds of things. I mean, every kind of behavioral malady you can think of, having trouble holding a job, right? Divorce, difficulty in relationships. The likelihood is that you will also abuse substances. The work came out of an obesity clinic, right? So everybody in this clinic is 100 pounds overweight or more. And the physician is doing psychosocial evaluations and starts uncovering all of these stories of trauma. And it was his wake up. You know, it was that moment. So then you can correlate all of those horrible things to see the behavioral impact, but also the physical impact. The more ACEs you are, the more likely you are to be obese, to have a stroke, to have cancer, to have COPD. Do y'all know what COPD is? Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease? Yeah, and so I couldn't understand that one. And then a physical therapist friend of mine said, that's easy. What do you do when you get scared? You hold your breath. You hold your breath. Imagine being a child, that 5-year-old who doesn't know what they're walking into. Or maybe they've already walked into some awful stuff. And they're continually holding their breath. Right? I don't know. I mean, we don't know. And we can't say that it's causal. We can say it's correlated. They go together. But it doesn't mean that one thing necessarily causes the other. Because we know that there are lots of people who've gone through terrible traumas, who've experienced things that come out a whole different way. Right? So there is this archetype, another one of these wonderful universal ideas, the archetype of the wounded healer. How many of you have heard that term before? Wounded healer. So the wounded healer is that person who's been through something, and that something is what motivates them. It's what drives them. So it's the person who's recovering from substance abuse that's now a mentor and a sponsor for others. Right? It's the kid who grew up in foster care that's now a social worker. Right? It's the asthmatic that becomes a nurse or a doctor. You know, it's people who use that. They use their pain because they come through on the other side and they can't help but want to bring others along with them. It's a superpower, exactly. Makes sense, doesn't it? Makes sense. So, you know, this idea that we are all more than the worst things we've ever done. Has anyone ever done some things they're not particularly proud of? Right? Right? Way up there. Yeah? Yeah, we're more than that. Every one of us. Every one of us. That quote actually comes from Brian Stevenson, who works with the Equal Justice Initiative in people who were unjustly accused and incarcerated on death row. And so he's met lots of folks who've done some things. But we're all more than the worst thing we've ever done. Even if you've taken a life. Even if. So you live 60 years and that was a day, an instance. Does your whole life have to be defined by that? Right? So we think about that, right? We're more than the worst things we've done, and we're more than the things that have been done to us. Being victimized doesn't make you a victim unless you choose to stay in it. Right? But here we are, chiseling away at all that is not who we are. And the fact is, if you went through some stuff, like so many of us do, you're not in it now because you're here. You're here. The worst is behind you. Right? You've already been through it. Now tap into that strength. So many different quotes I could use for that. But the idea is that the wound, that's the place from where the light emerges. Right? Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters. But Donna actually switched it up and said, the wound is the place from which the light emerges because it's already here. Right? And then I have this awesome quote, so I have to share with you where that comes from. How many of you know the song by our beautiful Amy Steinberg, right? Broken Open? I could use a little backup if any of you, where'd Dorothy go? Anyway, all right, let me see if I can do this. Where's my coffee? I need a little swig. I don't usually sing. I never sing a cappella. But the lyrics are so good that it is almost better to hear it a cappella so you can really hear what she's saying. But maybe, yeah, sponsored by Duncan. And then if you could do this kind of thing with me, maybe that would help. Scrapes, burns, twists and turns, you might call me damaged. Nicks, cuts, dips and ruts, I've been bruised and bandaged. Every dark night leads to a new morning light, and all of my scars have turned me into a piece of art. Each fear, every loss and tear, all the hard goodbyes, lows, hurt, all the dirt, all the grit, all of it has made me wise. Every dark night leads to a new morning light, and all of my sorrow gives me hope for a better tomorrow. It's when I'm falling, I feel so high. And when I'm crawling, that I want to reach up for the sky. And when I'm lonely, I can hold on to the truth that it's when I'm broken open, that's when the light shines through. Yeah, right? Yes, yes. So sometimes life breaks us open so we can become who we came here to be. There's no place like home, right? Home, and that's what this whole journey is about, is to come back to home, which happens to be right where you are, right where you're sitting. When you can get there, when you can feel that, when you can know it for yourself, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what's going on, because you know that you're already in your safe place. And then the invitation is that we embody that to such a degree that other people can feel at home in your presence, and they find their truth and their oneness and their wholeness. And that's how we change the world, right? From the inside out. And so Brene Brown says this: once we belong thoroughly to ourselves and believe in ourselves, belonging is ours. It's not about fitting in. It's not about twisting yourself up like a pretzel to fit somebody else's mold. It's about knowing who you are and being that and belonging to yourself. And no one can take that from you, no matter what happens to you. And back to our chiseling man here, right? A couple of quotes from Ernest Holmes, who's the founder of this philosophy that we call the science of mind. The power behind all things is without limit, but in working for us, it must work through us. Right? The power, we give it voice, we give it life through our lives, through our being, through how we show up, through our consciousness, through who we are. This is one of the great truths of metaphysics. God can become to the individual only what God can become through the individual. God becomes love through your love and through you. God is joy, and God shows up as joy through you and me, right? God shows up as wisdom. Be what it is that you want to experience. That's what you're being called to do. That's what you're being called to express. So the best way then is to find yourself, is to lose yourself in the service of others. Right? You're not the hero for yourself. You're the hero for the people in your world. And maybe, I love this quote from James Baldwin, perhaps home is not a place, but an irrevocable condition. Maybe that's who we really are. And then Rumi said this: you have no need to travel anywhere. Journey within yourself. Enter a mine of rubies and bathe in the splendor of your own light. Isn't that beautiful? To think you can do that all by yourself. When you really tap into the truth of who you are, that you can feel that and know that. And so I'll leave you with this affirmation. Anybody get anything out of this today? Yeah, good. Thinking of your own experiences, if you want to process any of that, there's a few of us that can talk you through, right? We have practitioners, myself, because that excavation is deep, and it can be painful, because what we store with pain, there's pain when we release it. So just know that that's part of the deal, but it's okay. Again, because you already made it. You're already on the other side of it. So just let it flow. Let it flow. And I would be glad to talk you through. I'm sure Galen is saying yes. I'm sure she would. I bet Reverend Peggy, we can get her in on that. And of course, we have Donna and Norma, our practitioners, that are here to help with these kinds of things. So with that, here is our affirmation. And I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to invite you to say it with me. And say it like you feel it and like you really own it, okay? I am light. I am a beneficial presence for others, and I am at home wherever I go. Ready? I am light. I am a beneficial presence for others, and I am at home wherever I go. And so it is. And so it is. All right. So I think we'll go. We have another music video. Yeah, our musicians are not all here today, but maybe for next month we'll have some live music. Yeah. All right, great. He said he agreed, yes. So there's a wonderful song that I think pulls us together very nicely and is a good thought about what's coming up next in our holiday season, right, and Thanksgiving. So, y'all ready?
You're my life, you're my breath, you're a smile, you're my guest. You're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love. You're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug. You're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you are fun. You're my mom, you are water, you're the stars, you're my daughter. You're my friend till the end, you're my dreams, you're my father. You're the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround. I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere in the clouds. You're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow. You're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss. The gift to realize that everything is a gift.
I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. Grateful for it
You're the blessings every time I try to count. You're the lessons that I learned every time I turn around. You're the water when I'm burned every time I think I found everything I'm looking for. You're the sign saying stop to take a bow and keep moving forward and start looking towards your heart. It'll open all the doors and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chorus with your mind and heart. Aligned in purpose, everything will feel gorgeous.
all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all.
Every day I sit and pray cause what I have is more than I deserve or could ever imagine. How do I get back to all of this magic and spread the love so everybody can have it? Doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got a family or if I'm all alone. Bad things happen, I can just complain and moan, but there's a million things that I can be grateful for.
So I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart, and my gratitude goes out to everything near and far. All that I am,
miss, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
Aw, I hadn't seen that one.
Wait, one more. This is for y'all.
All that I
Nice. I don't think so.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
This month's Science of Mind magazine has this law of circulation page, and it's in the magazine every month. Reverend Cindy asks me quite often, I'm Peggy Hostetler, by the way, asks me quite often to do the offering part of our service. And it's my favorite place to give thanks for this center, to give thanks for everyone that's here, to know that it exists because of the givingness of everyone in their service, in their gifts, in their tithes. And Petra Weldes, one of our ministers, spiritual leader at CSL Dallas, had this to say, and I'm not going to read it all, but she talks about how when we give, there's a benefit comes back to us. That wonderful law of circulation. And she gives some new ideas that maybe we haven't thought about that happen when we give. It makes you feel good. When you give to others, you release feel-good chemicals in your brain, such as dopamine and oxytocin. These chemicals have been shown to boost mood, reduce stress, and improve overall well-being and long life. It doesn't say that, but I believe that. It connects you to others when you give. When you give to others, you create a connection with them. So I invite you to look around the room today and think about how this place exists for the folks you're looking at, because you're willing to give to keep the center alive here, and how important that is. It can help build stronger relationships and a sense of community. And the last one that she lists here is it makes the world a better place. When you give to others, you make a difference in the world. You contribute to creating a more compassionate and caring place for all. And outside of her words, at the bottom of the page, it says, give where you are spiritually fed. And for us to feel the sense of that when we give where we are spiritually fed, we invite our spirituality to grow in us. We invite ourselves to become more godlike, for life to work better for us. All of those things because of our willingness to give. And as you look around the building here, if you're feeling at home in this place, as I do, and I have for 30 years, I invite you to think about what feels like home here for you. And what draws you to keep coming back. It's mostly probably the people whose faces you look around and see. But there's something in the air here, isn't there? That is accumulative and growing over the years. And if that's something that you're looking for, to, as I think it was David or Grady, which of you said you can study on your own? I think it was David this morning. You can study on your own. Yeah. Yeah, you can study on your own, but this is not meant to be a lonely journey, is what I would like to add to that. Our spiritual journeys are meant to be a camaraderie, a time of being together at home with others in a very functional home.
Yes.
And that's what Center for Spiritual Living Ocala is this wondrous functional home. So as we take our gift in our hand, or if we give through the mail from our bank account, as I do, to put your hand on your heart to get that feeling nature as we celebrate with our affirmation. It is the nature of life to give of itself, as it is the tree's nature to bear fruit, and the flower's nature to bloom. It is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed, and I am a blessing. I am grateful. Okay, we can go out with it with the basket. And then for prayer requests, Pam has our prayer chest today and some prayer request forms. When you put a prayer request in the prayer chest here at CSL Ocala, you have a team of people that will be praying for you this week for answered prayer. And often it's helpful to have someone else praying for us. They don't have the blocks that we have. They know the truth about you as a divine spiritual being. And as you put in that prayer request, I invite you to expect the result for the prayer for which you're praying and inviting prayer. Oh, ways to give. Yes, we have a kiosk out in the coffee room. And also you can text to give, 352-320-5110. You can go to the website, cslocala.org, and go to PayPal to donate there. And you can give in the basket that Christine is carrying around. And yeah, blessing of the basket if you've given in other ways. As I've said before, I love to think that when I give from my bank, I can picture my check having wings and flying into the bank account of CSL Ocala. So as we do this on a Sunday when I'm here, I'm thinking of that check making its way through the ethers and magically appearing in the bank account of CSL Ocala. And it does do that, doesn't it? And for us to have fun with our giving and feel the blessing of it. Okay, I invite us to turn within for just a moment and give thanks. Let us give thanks that we find ourselves in an opulent universe. That we find ourselves learning about this law of circulation in such a way that from this moment forward, our life is a prosperous life. No lack or limitation here. As we look at nature, we see the abundance, the opulence of nature. This is natural. Just as when we breathe out, we know there's air to breathe back in. As we give, we know that that gift is multiplied and returned to bless our lives. I give thanks that this is so. I give thanks also for the prayer request this morning and for those that go online to the website and put in a prayer request, knowing that those that are praying for us already are certain that the answer exists in divine mind. We give thanks that all of this is so, and let us say together, and so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you all.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Reverend Peggy. Let's see. Oh, so good. I feel so good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. So next thing, if you have not signed up for our newsletter, that is how you can get the newsletter, and so you can keep up with all the different things that are happening here at CSL Ocala. And now for our upcoming events. What's going on here? That was, oh, that's next week, Circle Sunday. Circle Sunday. So as I mentioned, every week is a little something different. First week of the month, we do a spiritual practice. Second week of the month is like this, is more of a more traditional service. And then the third Sunday, we do Circle Sunday. And that is where we all come in, we do a little overview of the topic, and then we break out into small groups, and we each discuss. We have circle prompts, and so, you know, well, we may talk about some of those early events. You know, when did you feel like that first time that you weren't enough? That might be one of the questions. I don't know yet. But then you get to hear everybody's stories, and somehow it expands all of our understanding and awareness. I love Circle. It's like, it's magical time. You see other people And Dan and I were talking about this last night. When somebody who has a very different life experience than you, right, may look very different, may have very different socioeconomic whatever, and something comes out of their mouth that you feel in the depths of your soul, there is a connection that happens. There is a magic when you realize, in truth, you are not alone. Never, ever, ever, you're not alone. So that's Circle Sunday. Love it. It's a lot of fun. Then the next week, the fourth Sunday, we have been doing this now for a few months, and it seems to be a big hit. The Prism Market and Fair, Community Fair, where this room will transform. There'll be vendors, and there'll be people offering different services and selling different things, all under the umbrella of spiritual. And it's just a great time for networking and having fun and some meeting some new people. And yeah, there's usually a food truck, and we have little mini workshops in between, so it's a great time. And that is from 10 to 4 on the 26th. And then that evening, let's see if that's what's, oh, also part of that, chili cook-off. So there's definitely going to be food for that. Please do. Hang on a second, do it on the mic so people at home can hear.
Hello. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, for the chili cook-off, to enter, I believe it's, okay, I can't see it. I think it's $10 to enter, but to like, try it, to like, sorry. Oh, I just got, huh? To sample it and to see who's the best. If you want to be a contestant. Yeah, there's a fee. I can't remember what Tiffany put on there, but there's a fee. So that's the first part of the the day. Sorry, I got a little bit. Sorry, guys.
If you knew Pam a year and a half
Oh my
ago,
God, I knew what
you
I
would
was
know
gonna do.
how
I'm like,
amazing it is
really
that she's standing up and saying, "I want the mic
wanted
to
the
speak."
mic. I just totally
Amazing.
got blanked out. I don't know how many. I would make a big crock pot at least.
I can't read what
Yes,
this
I know
says
I'm
here.
doing it. I know Tiffany is. I know my daughter's doing the chili. So I know there's a few people. And Christina said she's doing one.
It's not on.
So-
It says voting is at 1 o'clock, so be
So
here
yeah,
before
it's
that.
in the beginning of the cook-off. Okay, I'm good now. Phew. All right, so yeah, and then the second part, we're having the Grinch. So we're gonna have pictures. So it'll be a love offering, like for pictures with a Grinch. So $5 donation. So I hope to see you guys there. It's gonna be amazing.
It's super fun.
Okay,
Thank you, Pam. That's great. It's going to be extra fun, Prism Market, right? With chili and the Grinch. How awesome. And in the evening, that's still not the slide. Where is it? Is it here? Oh, this is still all about the market. If you want to vend, if you want to be a vendor, we can do that. There she is. There it is. So this is also happening that evening. Matt and Kat, although I think it's just Kat that is going to be performing. Yes? Just Kat performing. Their music is amazing. It's beautiful, amazing music, and Kat is just a great vocalist. So I invite you to come and have that experience. She might be doing a little something during the day, during the Prism Market, if you want to check that out. But that's going to be a great evening, and that is in the evening at 6. Suggested love offering $20. This is how she makes her living. So come out and support us. The music is great. You will not be sorry. All right. Anything else? First Sunday sacred service. Richard Jensen and the CSL Ocala leadership team. We will be doing spiritual practices around sacred service. That's what we'll be talking about that first Sunday. And I think that's it. Book club is coming soon. Volunteer opportunities. See Pam. Who else? Who else for our volunteers? I think Pam is the only one here today. Maybe Christina. Christina, yes. And Karen, wonderful. There are always things to do here. There's always stuff. There are things outside. You know, we have a beautiful property but it needs maintenance, and there are things in here in the building. Any good organizers? We could use you in the back office. So anyway, if you have a skill or a passion, something you would like to share with the larger community, get in touch with one of us. We welcome your volunteering. Do we have any kids today? No little ones today? Well, this is the time where we would be blessing our little people. And so we can bless them when they don't have to be in the room, right? So we can do that. We can bless. Oh, I love that too. Yes, yes, yes. There we go. Your inner child. Think about that. A child you love. We honor you. Say it all together, right? We honor you. We see your light. May it shine on all that you do. And so it is. I'm sending that to all of you, everybody. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for that. And before we say that, see the beautiful flowers. I just want to thank Galen and David for sharing these gorgeous flowers with us from the event last night, which was so, so beautiful. And I'm sure it showed maybe, I don't know, did you bring any books? Today? You've got books. Anybody wants to buy the book, Psychedelics, Dreams, and Rituals, a guidebook for facilitators and therapists and so on. So, Karen, you had something. Ah, yes. Oh, sweet. Oh, I love it. Thank you. Thank you. We'll be sure to take a look at them. So thank you. CSL Ocala represented at Pride Fest. Right? Yes. 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 We are a place of love. We are a place of love. That's what we're about. What else do we have? That's awesome. Love it. Yeah. We want to be a place of love. You know, a quick story before we close out all the way. My husband and I we have 4 grandchildren. And we've been sharing with them, like, you know, since they've been little. The oldest one is 14, but then the 3 little ones are 6 and 4. And so we tell them, this is a house of love. You know, when they get into their arguments, remember, this is a house of love. So anyway, my grandson says to Grady the other day, he says, you know, Grandpa, and they're talking about how things smell. I don't know how that conversation started. How 6-year-olds, right? How things smell. He says, do you know what you and Grandma smell like? I'm thinking, ooh, I don't know. Do we smell like old people or what? He says, you smell like love. It's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But yeah, the yin and the yang, right? You gotta love all of it. It's a whole. So let's see. Well, anyway, we'll see you next week. Next week is our Circle Sunday. That's the schedule, and I think that closes us out. Where's the prayer? Prayer for protection. I'm going to invite you to say this along with me. This comes from our sister organization at Unity and James Dillett Freeman. It's a very easy, beautiful prayer that I invite you to make your mantra. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is, and so it is. Have a fabulous week, everybody. All right.
Your melodies, they used to ring through every windowsill when you would sing. You came and went as you pleased.